Download this code from codegive.com, link in the description below. OK, let's dive into how to check the .NET Framework version, and .NET Core /5+/6+, and the C language version used by your Visual Studio project. This is essential for ensuring compatibility, troubleshooting issues, and leveraging the latest language features. Understanding the landscape, .NET Framework versus .NET Core /.NET 5+/6+ and C versions. Before we begin, it's crucial to understand the difference between .NET Framework and .NET Core /.NET 5+/6+. .NET Framework *, the original .NET platform developed by Microsoft. It's primarily designed for Windows and tightly integrated with the Windows operating system. .NET Framework is now considered legacy. The last version is .NET Framework 4.8. .NET Core * a cross-platform, open source, and modular re-implementation of .NET. It was designed to be lightweight, performant, and runnable on Windows, Mac OS, and Linux. .NET Core has evolved into .NET 5 and later. .NET 5, .NET 6, .NET 7, .NET 8 *. These are the successors to .NET Core. Microsoft unified the .NET platform under the .NET name. The versioning skipped .NET 4 to avoid confusion with .NET Framework 4.x. These are modern .NET versions. Each even-numbered version, 6, 8, is considered a long-term support, LTS, release. C language versions * C is the primary programming language for .NET. New C versions are released alongside new .NET versions, adding features and syntax improvements. The language version is independent of, but related to, the .NET Target framework. You can sometimes use a newer C language version with an older .NET framework or .NET version, but there are compatibility limits. 2. How to determine the .NET Target framework version in Visual Studio. This section explains how to find out which version of .NET Framework or .NET Core /.NET 5+/6+ your Visual Studio project is targeting. Method 1, through the project properties, recommended. This is the most common and reliable method. 1. Open your project in Visual Studio *, load the solution and project you want to inspect. 2. Right-click on the project in Solution Explorer * in the Solution Explorer, usually on the right side of Visual Studio, find your project. Right-click on it. 3. Select Properties * choose Properties from the context menu. This opens the project's Properties window. 4. Navigate to the Application tab, or General in the Properties window, look for a tab labeled Application, for older .NET Framework projects, or General, for .NET Core /.NET 5+/6+ projects. 5. Find the Target Framework, or Target Framework moniker within the Application or General tab, locate a drop-down menu or a field that says Target Framework, or, in some cases, Target Framework Moniker or TFM. The selected value in this field indicates the .NET version your project is targeting. Example values, illustrative. .NET Framework 4.7.2. .NET Framework 4.8. .NET 6.0. .NET 7.0. .NET 8.0. .NET Standard 2.0, this targets a specific version of .NET Standard, which can be implemented by multiple .NET versions. Method 2, examining the project file, .xproj. This method involves directly inspecting the project file, which is an XML file. 1. Unload the project * in Solution Explorer, right-click on the project and select Unload Project. This makes the project file editable. To edit the project file * right-click on the unloaded project in Solution Explorer and select Edit Your Project Name.xproj. This opens the project file in the Visual Studio Editor. 3. Locate the target framework or target frameworks element * search for an XML element named target framework, for single target projects, or target frameworks, for multi-targeting projects. 4. Read the value *. The value inside the tag indicates the .NET version. Example *. Or for multi-targeting. 5. Reload the project * after examining or modifying the project file, right-click on the project in Solution Explorer and select Reload Project. 3. How to determine the C language version used by your project. There are a few ways to determine the C version. The most direct is through the project file. Method 1, through the project file, .xproj, recommended. 1. Unload and edit the project file * as described in the previous section. Unload your project in Solution Explorer and then edit the .xproj file. 2. Look for the lang version element * search for an XML element named lang version. If it exists, the value inside this tag specifies the C language version. Example common values *latest, use the latest C version supported by your .NET target. *latest major, use the latest major C version supported. *preview, use the latest preview version of C. *default, use the default C version for the target framework. 8.0, 9.0, 10.0, 11.0, 12.0, explicitly specify a C version. If lang version is not present, the default C version for your target framework is used. 3. Reload the project * after examining or modifying the project file, right-click on the project in Solution Explorer and select Reload Project. Method 2, in project properties, potentially less reliable, or not available. In older versions of Visual Studio and .NET Framework projects, sometimes you could find a C language version setting in the project properties under Build-Advanced. However, this method is less reliable, and the option may not be present, especially in newer .NET Core/.NET 5+/6+ projects. The project file method is the preferred approach. 4. Example code snippet, illustrative. This code snippet demonstrates how you might programmatically detect the .NET version at runtime, although you will mostly use the methods above to check the target framework before running the application. This is useful for conditional logic or displaying information to the user. Key improvements and explanations in this code. Runtime information. Framework description. This is the most reliable way to get the .NET runtime information. It provides a string that describes the .NET implementation, example .NET 8.0.0, .NET Framework 4.8.04084. Environment. Version. This returns the CLR version, but it's less useful in modern .NET versions because it often reports a base version, example 4.0.30319.42000. It doesn't accurately reflect the .NET Core/.NET 5+/6+ version. Assembly. Get custom attribute target framework attribute. This attempts to read the target framework attribute from the assembly metadata. This is more robust than environment. Version for determining the target framework at runtime, especially for .NET Core/.NET 5+/6+. Runtime information. OS description, runtime information. OS architecture, runtime information. Process architecture. These provide information about the operating system and process architecture, which can be helpful for debugging and understanding the environment the code is running in. Error handling. The code includes basic if, assembly, equals null, and if, target framework attribute, equals null, checks to handle cases where the assembly cannot be loaded or the attribute is not found. This prevents potential null reference exception errors. Clarity and comments. The code includes comments to explain the purpose of each section. How to use the code. 1. Create a new console application. Create a new console application project in Visual Studio, example using the .NET 8.0 template. 2. Replace the program.cs code. Replace the contents of your program.cs file with the code above. 3. Build and run. Build and run the application. The console output will display the detected .NET information. Why is this important? Compatibility. Ensuring that your project targets a compatible .NET version is critical for preventing runtime errors. If a project targets a newer .NET version than the environment it's deployed to, it won't run. Feature availability. Newer versions of C and .NET introduce new language features and APIs. If you want to use these features, you need to target a sufficiently recent .NET version and set the appropriate C language version. Performance and security. Newer .NET versions often include performance improvements and security fixes. Targeting the latest stable version is generally recommended. Dependency management. The .NET version targeted by your project affects the versions of NuGet packages you can use. Some packages may only be compatible with specific .NET versions. Troubleshooting. When you encounter errors, knowing the exact .NET version and C language version can help you narrow down the cause and find solutions. 6. Setting the .NET target framework, changing the version. If you need to change the .NET target framework for your project, follow these steps. 1. Open project properties. As described earlier, right-click on your project in Solution Explorer and select Properties. 2. Navigate to Application or General tab. Find the Application, for .NET Framework, or General, for .NET Core/.NET 5+/6+, tab. 3. Select a new target framework. Use the Target Framework drop-down menu to choose a different .NET version. Visual Studio will automatically update the project file and any necessary references. Important considerations. Compatibility. Before changing the target framework, ensure that all your project's dependencies, NuGet packages, are compatible with the new version. Code changes. You may need to update your code if you're moving to a significantly different .NET version, especially if you're using APIs that have been deprecated or changed. Testing. Thoroughly test your application after changing the target framework to ensure that it still functions correctly. 7. Setting the C language version. To set, or change, the C language version. 1. Unload and edit the project file. As described previously, unload your project in Solution Explorer and then edit the .xproj file. 2. Add or modify the lang version element. Locate the property group element in your project file. Add, if it doesn't exist, or modify the lang version element to specify the desired C language version. 3. Reload the project. Right-click on the project in Solution Explorer and select Reload Project. 8. Best practices. Use the latest stable .NET version. Unless you have specific compatibility requirements, it's generally recommended to target the latest stable .NET version to take advantage of performance improvements, security fixes, and new features. Keep NuGet packages updated. Regularly update your NuGet packages to benefit from bug fixes, performance enhancements, and security updates. Test thoroughly. Always thoroughly test your application after making changes to the .NET Target Framework or C language version. Consider .NET Standard. If you're building a library that needs to be compatible with multiple .NET implementations, example .NET Framework and .NET Core/.NET 5+/6+, consider targeting .NET Standard. .NET Standard defines a set of APIs that are guaranteed to be available across compatible .NET implementations. Note that .NET Standard is less relevant these days since .NET 6+ provides a unified platform. Document your target framework. Clearly document the .NET Target Framework and C language version used by your project in your project's README file or other documentation. This helps other developers understand the project's requirements. By following these steps, you can confidently determine and manage the .NET Framework version and C language version used by your Visual Studio projects, ensuring compatibility, leveraging new features, and simplifying troubleshooting. Remember to always test your changes thoroughly to avoid unexpected issues. Okay, let's dive into how to check the .NET Framework version and the C++ standard version used by your projects in Visual Studio. I'll provide a comprehensive guide with code examples and explanations. Understanding the versions. Before we start, it's crucial to understand what we're trying to determine. .NET Framework version. For .NET projects, this refers to the specific version of the .NET Framework your project is targeting. It affects which APIs, libraries, and features are available. Common versions include .NET Framework 4.6, 4.7, 4.8, and newer versions like .NET 6, 7, and 8, which are part of the .NET platform, sometimes just called .NET. C++ standard version. For C++ projects, this refers to the C++ language standard your project is designed to comply with. Common standards include C++ 98, C++ 03, C++ 11, C++ 14, C++ 17, C++ 20, and C++ 23. Using a particular standard dictates the language features, standard library components, and compiler behavior that are expected. Checking .NET Framework version in Visual Studio. For .NET projects, there are several ways to check the .NET Framework version used by your .NET project. 1. Using the project properties, GUI. This is the most straightforward and common method. Open your project. Load your .NET project in Visual Studio. Right-click on the project. In the Solution Explorer, right-click on the project name, example My.NET App. Select Properties. Choose Properties from the context menu. Navigate to the Application tab. In the Properties window, go to the Application tab. It might be labeled differently depending on your project type. Check the Target Framework, or similar, setting. You will find a drop-down labeled something like Target Framework, Target.NET Framework, or Target.NET. The selected value indicates the .NET Framework version your project is targeting. For example, it might show .NET Framework 4.8 or .NET 6.0. 2. Examining the project file, .xproj or .vbproj. Project files, usually .xproj for C and .vbproj for VB.NET, contain XML-based build instructions, including the target framework. Right-click on the project. In the Solution Explorer, right-click on the project name. Select Edit Project File. Choose Edit Project File, or Unload Project. Then right-click again and choose Edit Project Name.xproj or Edit Project Name.vbproj. This will open the XML project file in the editor. Asterisk look for the target framework or target framework version element. Asterisk search for an XML element named target framework or target framework version. The value within this element specifies the target framework. Asterisk for .NET Framework projects, you'll likely see something like asterisk for .NET Core or newer projects, you'll likely see 3. Using code at runtime. You can also determine the .NET Framework version at runtime within your .NET application. This is useful for conditional logic or logging purposes. Explanation of the code asterisk. Asterisk environment.version asterisk. This provides the version of the .NET runtime that is currently executing your code. It might be a higher version than the target framework, especially if you're running the application on a machine with a later .NET runtime installed. Asterisk assembly.get entry assembly, or assembly.get executing assembly, gets the assembly, the .exe or .dll, that is currently running. Asterisk assembly.get custom attribute target framework attribute, asterisk retrieves the target framework attribute from the assembly's metadata. This attribute stores the target framework information that you set in the project properties. Asterisk target framework attribute .framework name asterisk. This gives you the actual target framework string, example.net framework version equals v4.8, .net core app version equals v3.1, .net framework version equals v4.7.2. Asterisk feature detection, method 3. This is the least reliable method. It attempts to use features that were introduced in specific .NET Framework versions. If the code executes without errors, it suggests that the .NET Framework version is at least that high. However, it doesn't give you a precise version. Checking C++ standard version in Visual Studio, for C++ projects. There are two primary ways to determine the C++ standard version used by your C++ project. 1. Using the project properties, GUI. This is the most common and recommended approach. Asterisk open your project asterisk load your C++ project in Visual Studio. Asterisk right-click on the project asterisk in the Solution Explorer, right-click on the project name, example myCPP app. Asterisk select properties asterisk choose properties from the context menu. Asterisk navigate to configuration properties -c/c++ language asterisk in the properties window, expand configuration properties, then C/C++, and finally select language. Asterisk check the C++ language standard setting asterisk look for a drop-down labeled C++ language standard. The selected value indicates the C++ standard version being used by your project. For example, it might show ISO C++ 14 standard, /stdc++ 14, or ISO C++ 20 standard, /stdc++ 20. Important notes. Asterisk the option /stdc++ latest instructs the compiler to use the latest draft standard supported by the compiler. This option can be useful for experimenting with new language features, but it's generally not recommended for production code, as the standard may change before it's finalized. Asterisk make sure you're looking at the correct configuration, debug or release, if your project has different settings for each. You can change the configuration at the top of the Properties window, example configuration, debug, platform, x64. 2. Examining the project file, .vexproj. The .vexproj file is an XML-based project file that contains all the build settings for your C++ project. You can directly inspect the file to find the C++ standard setting. Asterisk right-click on the project asterisk in the Solution Explorer, right-click on the project name. Asterisk select edit project file, asterisk choose edit project file, or unload project, then right click again and choose edit project name.vexproj. This will open the XML project file in the editor. Asterisk search for the language standard element, asterisk look for an XML element named language standard. The value within this element specifies the C++ standard. Asterisk the possible values for language standard are typically stdcpp14, stdcpp17, stdcpp20, stplaytest, or default. Default means it uses the compiler's default. 3. Using predefined macros, in code. The C++ standard defines several predefined macros that you can use to check the standard version at compile time. Explanation of the code asterisk. Asterisk underscore underscore plus plus asterisk. This macro is defined by the C++ compiler and represents the C++ standard version as a long integer. The values are standardized, mostly. Asterisk 202002L, C++ 20. Asterisk 201703L, C++ 17. Asterisk 201402L, C++ 14. Asterisk 201103L, C++ 11. Asterisk 199711L, C++ 98/C++03. Asterisk the if def underscore underscore plus plus preprocessor directive checks if the code is being compiled by a C++ compiler. Asterisk the if statements check the value of underscore underscore plus plus and print the corresponding C++ standard. 4. Using compiler version, less precise. While not a direct measure of the C++ standard, the compiler version often gives you an indication of the standards it supports. However, relying on the compiler version alone is not recommended, as compilers can be updated to support newer standards while still using the same version number. Explanation asterisk. Asterisk underscore underscore version underscore underscore. This is a preprocessor macro that is usually defined by GCC and other compilers, providing a string containing the compiler version information. The exact format of the string varies. Asterisk underscore MSC underscore ver. This is a preprocessor macro that is defined by the Microsoft Visual C++, MSVC, compiler. It provides the MSVC compiler version as an integer. You can correlate this number to a Visual Studio release year. Example underscore MSC underscore ver equals 1928 corresponds to Visual Studio 2019 version 16.8. Example scenario, conditional compilation based on C++ standard. You can use the underscore underscore plus plus macro to enable or disable code sections depending on the C++ standard version. This is useful for using newer language features only when the compiler supports them. In this example, if the C++ standard is C++ 17 or later, the code uses a structured binding, auto and index, value, to iterate over the vector and access both the index and the value. Otherwise, it uses a traditional for loop. Important considerations asterisk. Asterisk configuration specific settings asterisk. Remember that project properties, including the .NET Framework version and C++ standard, can be different for different configurations, debug, release, etc., and platforms, x86, x64. Make sure you are checking the correct configuration. Asterisk compiler support asterisk. Just because you set a C++ standard in Visual Studio doesn't guarantee that the compiler fully supports it. There might be some features that are not yet implemented or have bugs. Asterisk consistency asterisk. Ensure that all projects within your solution are targeting the same .NET Framework version or C++ standard, unless you have a specific reason to use different versions. Inconsistent versions can lead to compatibility issues and unexpected behavior. Compatibility when choosing a .NET Framework version or C++ standard, consider the compatibility requirements of your application. If you need to run your application on older operating systems or environments, you might need to target an older version. For .NET, newer versions are generally backward compatible. However, targeting the latest .NET framework may not be possible on older operating systems. For C++, using newer standards may require newer compilers and libraries. .NET SDKs vs .NET Framework understand the difference between the .NET Framework and the modern .NET platform, .NET 6, 7, 8, etc. Newer .NET projects use SDK-style project files and target the modern .NET platform. Older projects often target the .NET Framework. .NET targeting packs. If you are targeting a .NET Framework version, you might need to install the corresponding targeting pack. These targeting packs provide the necessary reference assemblies and build tools. Visual Studio usually prompts you to install the targeting pack if it's missing. By following these steps and understanding the concepts, you can effectively check and manage the .NET Framework version and C++ standard version used by your projects in Visual Studio. Remember to always consider compatibility, compiler support, and consistency when making decisions about which versions to use.